Um, a issue I wanted to talk to you about because I do feel like there is um, two factions of the defund the police
Yeah,
conversation, right?
sure.
Um, I think that you know my mom and my dad got into a huge argument. My parents are older white people. My mom's super hippie. She's really on her fuck the police shit, and my dad is a little less like you're
Yeah,
crazy, right? Um, but I think that you know I think that at least where I stand on it is I think San Francisco just started like you had posted about it again, getting a
yeah,
lot of my news from you.
yeah. San Francisco just
Non-violent
started it. Yeah, they just started a
non-violent
new.
situations
Yeah,
don't need military, you don't need armed police to show up for certain situations. If a kid gets caught shoplifting a candy bar at a liquor store, there should not be a three cop cars to show up. And I mean, at least where I grew up, I didn't grow up in a great area, so I know better than anything. No matter how small or insignificant the call is, it's always three cop cars that show up,
yeah,
no
they
matter
show up.
what.
Yeah, Billy Badass, sometimes guns out, and they're gonna make an arrest. It's not gonna be pleasant, and it could literally be over a candy bar or a can of soda.
Or
Uh, th-
somebody just having a bad day at the bus stop and someone drives by and sees like, yo, this guy's acting crazy at the bus stop. But what I was going to say was, I do think that it's important that we reform the police departments that we have because there's so much bureaucracy involved, and it's less about doing the right thing and more about all of the bureaucracy that comes with a police department and the
sure.
unions and all that. And I think that at least where I stand on defund the police is reallocate a lot of the sources in the same way that our military is overfunded, like
Grossly so. Yeah,
insanely, right?
yeah.
Like those,
More than the next 10 countries combined,
it's crazy, right?
and hundreds of billions of dollars are just wasted.
It's insane.
And
And the same thing with our police departments. A lot of these police
absolutely.
departments have equipment that they'll never use. You know what I mean? But I feel like I'm against just getting rid of the police, but I am for reallocating funds into the community from the police and reforming the idea of what police are.
Yeah, let me say something about it. First, your dad and most Americans are taught that police keep communities safe. And I've done studies on this, man. If you go to America's safest cities, if you go to America's safest neighborhoods, you can hardly find a police officer in any of them. They're safe. Where do you live right now?
I live in Burbank.
Yeah, if you go to the safest neighborhoods in all of Los Angeles, they're not swarming with police. You don't see police precincts, you don't see jails. They are safe because everybody there is employed. Everybody there has jobs, healthcare, education. Everybody there has resources. They are clean. They are well cared for. There's access to, there are no food deserts. There are wonderful grocery stores.
Mhm.
There is no lack. The things that make America's safest neighborhoods and cities safe
Aren't
aren't
cops.
more police.
Yeah.
And that's widely known. If you literally go to the 10 safest areas of Los Angeles, you could hardly find the police. And so that's number one, that the safest communities in America, they're safe for very particular reasons. And what we're saying is we want to duplicate that safety, that kind of safety in other communities. But secondly, and Los Angeles is probably the most important illustration here. Right now, the LAPD takes up over 50% of the general fund of all of Los Angeles. Over 50% of the budget.
That's
If you go to
crazy.
if you go to other mega cities around the country, it tends to be between 1 and 4%. In Los Angeles, it's 51%. It's so much, it's so bloated that there's then not funding for homelessness, there's not funding for substance abuse. And so what they do is in Los Angeles and other cities around the country, police are just expected to handle everything. It doesn't matter if it's substance abuse or homelessness. It doesn't matter if it's school truancy.
Mm-hmm.
In most cities now, police are even the office handling pet problems and missing cats and dogs. And it's like, listen, let's remove as much of this as from police as we can, number one. And then another study showed, and this blew my mind, even as somebody who studies policing, this was in the AP just recently, that in the average major police department in America, less than 1% of all of their time is spent on violent crime. The other 99% is spent on traffic tickets, is spent on unarmed, nonviolent disputes. It's spent on substance abuse issues. It's spent on homelessness. And what we're saying is, when we talk about defunding the police, we're saying, hey, let's use money smartly on substance abuse, homelessness, and all of these other issues. And if they're only actually spending 1% of their time on violent crime, let's find a way for them to make that basically their major thing that they do. And let's put everything else and assign that to social workers, to doctors, to nurses, and other civic groups that can handle it without shooting and killing somebody. In some cities right now, nearly 60% of all people who are killed by police are having a mental health crisis. Many people are having either a version of a substance abuse and a mental health crisis. And it's like, listen, we have problems. Los Angeles has problems. I live in New York. New York has problems. They're hard, they're complicated, and traditionally, police showing up to the scene with guns doesn't help any of these problems. I want us to solve them. I'm just saying the NYPD and the LAPD don't have a quality track record on solving the problems of substance abuse and homelessness. They've been at that stuff for generations, and it's still here. Let's actually tackle our hardest problems, but do it in a way that's bigger than a gun and a badge. And so when we say defund the police, we're saying if cities say that Black lives matter, if cities say that children matter, just make your budget say that. Mm-hmm. And right now, most city budgets don't show the priorities they say they have. And we're saying we got to reconsider how this works.